Welcome to VSB After the Bell. I'm your host, Gianna Chell. With deep gratitude and respect, we are honored to be learning and unlearning on the ancestral and unceded lands of the Hamathquiam, Skohomish Ohomeom, and Tsleil-Waututh nations. The Vancouver School Board is among the most diverse school systems in Canada, with an annual enrollment of approximately 50,000 students from kindergarten to grade 12 and adult education students. April is Earth Month. Across VSB, students and staff help contribute to a more sustainable district every day. In honor of these efforts, we're sharing stories of how our VSB community has been doing exactly that, and how all our actions, both big and small, actively work towards our updated environmental sustainability plan. Today, we're hearing from teachers across the district who are passionate about supporting sustainability and inspiring students. We'll also hear from two students from John Oliver Secondary who will share how they're putting what they learned in the classroom into action. Let's start with our eco-focused educators, Petra, Riley, and JC. Thank you all for being here today. For our listeners, can you please introduce yourselves?
My name is Petra. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm a teacher at Windermere Secondary. I've been with VSB for about 25 years and been working within sustainability since about 2008.
And my name is Riley Martens. I'm a grade 7 teacher at Cook Elementary School. I've been at Cook my whole time, well, apart from 2 weeks, so I spent at Kitchener Elementary. Apart from that, I've been at Cook for 8 years, and I've been involved in working with the environment and, since I was a child in New Brunswick, so I'm excited to be here today.
My name is JC Gibb, and I teach kindergarten in Vancouver, and I've been teaching for about 10 years now. And I'm also a member of Unite, which is a local chapter of EPSA, a provincial specialist association.
Before we jump in, I think it's really important to understand that climate literacy in schools is not just about science facts, but it's also about helping students understand the world around them, think critically about real-world issues, and feel empowered to take action in age-appropriate ways. In BC, I know climate learning is woven into different subject areas, including science, social studies, and even language arts. I know the way sustainability is taught will vary from elementary to secondary, so it's great to hear from both perspectives. I'd like for you to walk us through how you tie sustainability and climate literacy into different areas of the curriculum for your grade levels.
Yeah, I think the best way to do it at kindergarten, or possibly for like any grade, is just like taking them outside. The jump you see from September where they're like, why are we outside? What are we doing? And then like seeing them start to embrace the curiosities and get so curious about what we learn about, especially in our schoolyard. Like, I think that's the most impactful thing you can do, especially at that age.
What are they most curious about?
Oh my God, what are they not curious about?
Can I eat it?
Yeah. I think like we end up doing like inquiries about like based on different animals in our schoolyards, and so they help pick it. So like, you know, last year we did a snail inquiry. This year we just like finished doing a spider inquiry because they were really curious about like the spider webs in some of the bushes. So we just like ended up like learning about it for months. So yeah, just taking we're in the middle of a squirrel inquiry right now. So I'll keep you posted on that.
So for audiences who don't understand inquiry, because it's kind of like a teaching jargon, can you explain what does that mean? What does that entail?
Yeah, it's basically just like taking the curiosities of the students and then building your unit kind of like from that topic and getting their input as well. So you like you start by like, what do they know about squirrels, for example, and then you get wonders. So you ask them like, what are you curious about? And then that leads the next couple of weeks, and like you design your lessons based on what they're curious about. So it really increases the buy-in from them, which is amazing.
Very cool. How about at the grade 7 level then?
Well, at the grade 7 level, I mean, as a grade 7 teacher, I'm trying to help my students understand more about themselves. So going through adolescence, you're trying to discover yourself, right? And there are a lot of challenges that they're encountering. They're going through, changes of puberty, social groups, and I try to get them outdoors, like JC was saying. Get them outside and try and help them forge a relationship with each other and the land. So we start going out. Well, every Tuesday we have our forest classroom. So we're lucky to have a forest 150 meters from our school. So we go outside and The first day, it's just kind of we do forest bathing, so Shinrin Yoku. And we walk through the forest. We go into forest mode, which is usually students tapping the top of their head and going silent, which is a challenge in the beginning.
Okay, yeah.
But then we go into the forest and we start noticing things. And I get students to do nature journaling, write down what they're seeing, and we practice meditating out there, and it feels great. So students, that's how we begin. And then we start going into learning a bit more about the plants, the indigenous plants that we have on our school property and a little bit beyond. That's kind of how we start.
How about at the secondary level, Petra?
I'm really privileged to work in a mini school choice program, which it's I think one of the oldest ones in Vancouver. And at the Leadership Windermere mini program, they have a focus on community engagement, social justice, and then sustainability. So sustainability is completely woven into our program. As much as we can, we use those lenses to teach our basic core curriculum. And it really kind of depends, because depending on what the content is, sustainability fits better or worse. But within that program, I get to teach a course I made up called Ecology 9. And so they go through basic First Year University ecology concepts, but at the grade 9 level. So things like population dynamics and community ecology, and we do big units on climate literacy. One of their major units is on climate change. We do stuff on invasive species. We do all kinds of different things. And then I teach them in grade 10. I teach CLE, so career life education. We do some sustainability work through the lens of sort of social components and how we are part of those incredibly important systems. And then I teach Environmental Science 11, which is a 4-credit science course, where it's great for me because I taught them all at the grade 9 level, so I can whip through a lot of the intro stuff and then go deeper into human connections and sustainability. I'm just about to start our last unit of the course, which is looking at stewardship and sustainability. And I always like to hook kids through the lens of food, because we all got to eat. So we look at how our food systems around the world are impacted through kind of our consumption. What are some more responsible ways that kids can take personal action? Because teenagers, they want to do, right? If they can't feel like they can do something about the challenges that they see, because they're very aware of the world around them. They're so connected with the world, far more so than we were.
Oh, yeah, with social media.
And so if they can't do, they feel lost, and then they give up. So I really tend to focus on what kids have financial control over, and a lot is clothing and food. So I help them engage through a lot of fast fashion they've been super passionate about. So we do kind of units depending on student interest. And then at the high school level too, because our campuses are larger, we get more students, and so we have a thriving environment club. We have 40 kids that are actually just about to do a clothing swap for Earth Week. We've got a garden club, and I do that with a wonderful co-teacher who's actually one of the English teachers in a mini program.
Okay.
And so we do sustainability education kind of integrated through a lot of different concepts. As a science teacher, that's easy.
Yeah.
But we also can do it through English and through social studies. And it actually is huge in a big chunk of our secondary social studies curriculum. And then through the volunteer stuff we do, working with kids on our own time when we sponsor clubs.
You spoke about a garden club. That sounds really cool. Can you walk us through, what does that entail? Because I also know a lot of elementary schools have garden clubs too.
It used to actually be something that was part of our mini school program, and we wanted to non-silo that. So we broke it off of the mini school, opened it up as a school club.
Nice.
And so it's completely open to whoever wants to come. It's open door, so the kids don't feel like they make a commitment that they have to stick through all year. Some kids get busy in seasons with soccer. Like right now, we lost a bunch of kids to the ultimate team in the school play. But as soon as the play is done, we're coming back, Ms. Ruffle. and they see me in the hallway every time, and they cringe. I have to go to play practice. I'm sorry.
Those radishes will have to wait.
Yeah. But we are very fortunate to have a big space and supportive administration. Right now we have a bunch of plants growing on my countertop because it's a little bit cold at night. We were gifted a beautiful greenhouse in our courtyard, so we have some things growing in there. And then right before he left to another province, we had a teacher who used to do this gardening before I took it over and had approval to put in this food orchard. So there's fruit trees and berry bushes in our back field. There are definitely challenges and struggles.
Yeah.
Trying to have a bunch of high schoolers use things like weed whackers and pruners safely. And no, you cannot climb the tree. No, not even when I'm not looking at you. No, you cannot climb the tree. I'm sorry. So they're so excited and engaged, and they want to do these things that I would probably let my own child do, actually. But in an educational and a working space, we want to keep their safety.
Yeah. What do you do with all the produce?
Some of it actually goes back into our school food system. Okay. So we have school cafeteria. Some of it goes to our foods classes. Back when we were a little bit more productive, we were donating to families in need, particularly post-pandemic, where they were having food bundles going home to those families. Yeah. And sometimes the kids, honestly, they just snack. Like when the raspberries are ready, that's our after.
That's the perk of being in the garden club, right?
Yeah.
So what do you think would surprise parents or caregivers about how climate literacy is being taught today?
I can speak to that one. There's the book that I've been using lately for novel studies called The Marrow Thieves. Now, it tends to be more of a high school text, but if it's taught in the right way, it can be used at the grade 7 level, provided the kids are mature enough. And you treat those sensitive themes, like connections to residential schools, in the right way. So it's kind of a book that really brings Indigenous ways of knowing. The author, Sherry Dimmeland, she's a Métis author. It brings in sustainability as well. It's kind of a dystopian Canada where folks have lost the ability to dream. And the only folks that can dream are Indigenous peoples. And that all happened because of how we abuse the world. And the Great Lakes have been polluted, the oceans, and there's kind of a main character, Frenchie, that's navigating that. And Frenchie's 13, 14 years old. So using that, I think parents would be surprised that a text like that exists.
Yeah.
And
like a fascinating storyline.
Yeah, it's great. The kids are engaged. They want to read more.
Yeah.
So that's I think parents would be surprised that we're able to get a hold of a text like that. That's won awards. It was on CBC Reads. Yeah. And that we have it in the classroom.
Oh, that's amazing. How about at the high school level?
I think a lot of parents would be surprised at how much access to information students have, at how quickly things change. And so as teachers, I think they might be surprised that we leverage some of their connections through media. Like, we need to teach critical media literacy. Yeah. Literacy skills are important because there is so much information out there. We spend some of our time within teaching sustainability around, well, how do we verify? How do we, is this a source that we can trust? Who paid for that study? And so I think they might be surprised that we are teaching skills that, I didn't touch on until university. Yeah. We have to teach them now at, say, the grade 9, 10 level because they just have so much access to information.
Yeah, so true. Yeah, and it's part of the curriculum too, right? Critical thinking as one of the core competencies. Yeah. What about at the kindergarten level?
I truly do appreciate hearing the perspectives from the opposite end of the spectrum, because while our courses, for example, they sound very different, but how they are kind of focusing on the same thing of building connection and building the capacity to be stewards of the land. And so it's interesting, from my perspective, or we do garbage duty.
My kids do too, for sure.
But ours is I say we're making garbage soup. I'm using air quotes here. And then I pretend to I think this garbage soup needs some more dog poop. Can we get more dog, because we find dog poop bags all over. And so so it's interesting that we're on opposite sides, but we're instilling the same values, so it's very cool to get to hear from the secondary perspective.
It makes you feel better when my kids go out. The dog poop also happens, but I just have to make sure that they know that tongs are not swords.
Yes.
So some things don't change.
Even at the high school level.
Oh
my gosh.
I lean into it. I'm these kids are gonna think poop is funny, so I'm all right, I'm gonna ham it up for them.
It's funny you both bring that up because this is an issue. I think another area parents might be surprised is we do have, at my school, Cook, the Coyote Nature Connection Crew. So we're trying to get grade 7 students to stand up and be leaders and take responsibility for the local forest. And one of the big issues we're having is we're finding dog poop bags everywhere. Yeah. And we've actually seen people just throw the bags in.
Why bag it and then throw it?
I don't just walk it, put it. I think we need to have a container there, receptacle to take it, and currently there isn't one. So what we're trying to do is connect it to sustainability for ourselves, so mental health,
Yeah.
and the forest. So if we're going to be disrespectful to nature, a lot of kids are disrespectful to themselves and not caring for themselves, and
Yeah.
we're all connected, right?
Yeah.
So we're trying to build that bridge into social emotional learning as well.
So we're going to be talking to students in a little bit, but I want to hear from the teacher's perspective of what are students most curious about when it comes to climate literacy or sustainability? What kind of questions are they asking you?
I realized that like I was teaching students about these animals that they don't really get to see that often, or like I started to realize I'm like I should be focusing more so on like the plants and animals that we actually see and that they would actually observe in their community. And so since I started shifting that a few years ago and like started focusing on like the hyper local, like we how this started is because there was a coyote sightings like near our school. We did a whole coyote inquiry and like what to do if you see a coyote, how to be safe with it. And then we ended up making pamphlets of like what you need to know about coyotes.
That's
like
so cute. Kindergartners doing this?
Kindergarten, like, and
My
they all had
gosh.
jobs. So it was like some of them were like writing the information out, like some were like the illustrators. So they drew coyotes on the pamphlets. And then we like shared important facts like at a school assembly. So yeah, like that really like sparked like a shift for me and like wanting to focus on the students' community because I think it helps build that connection in a more meaningful way as opposed to like more abstract things.
And I find students care a lot more when they're out, when they realize that in their backyard there are 25 different species of birds that are there daily, and they start to use the Merlin app. We've been using that app with my kids, just going out and listening to and at any given time at 8:30 to 9:30 you can register. I've registered like 20 different birds there. And students start to see them. And then we get binoculars. We've applied for many grants this year. And it just helps us get outdoors more. And then they're asking more and more questions. Or when will this bird be nesting? And should we go out? Can we try and take pictures and share what we're learning with the school? And then make pamphlets as well. Canva is great, easy to use.
So what is this app called? Merlin app?
Merlin, yeah. So it's an app that you can take pictures of birds. It will help you identify them.
Oh, it's a bird app.
Bird
Okay.
app, yeah, bird app. And then if we're looking at plants, so I encourage my students every time we're out, if you see a plant and you don't know what it is, take a picture and let's identify it.
iNaturalist is so good for
iNaturalist,
that.
Seek as well.
iNatural, okay.
My students are always like, Mr. Gibb, use your phone, or like they know that like I use the like Seek app to identify. Like, Mr. Gibb, get your phone, get your phone.
We get that too in the garden club. Is that a weed or did we plant that on purpose?
That's a question that I often have too. Okay, so maybe we'll put these apps or these links in the show notes for parents who are interested in exploring more. What types of questions are you getting at the secondary level, Petra?
I think it really depends, right? Because our scope of environmental education and sustainability is pretty broad. We do a lot of outdoor education as part of our mini program, so when we can take them out, we'd like to take them to Salt Spring or Galliano, where they're still quite accessible to our students. In fact, a lot of our kids, once they graduate, they repeat the camp trips that we take them on in high school. They just
to
go
do
as
it on
like
their own?
19-year-olds.
That's
It's kinda,
cool.
it's fun.
Yeah.
But a lot of it, when they can start finding real connections to the space that they're in, that's where the questions really, the rich, deep learning connections come in. We take them on hikes, and we start with, again, can I eat it? Like huckleberry is a great way to introduce kids, and spruce tips. And if you have an allergy to anything, you get to smell it. That's it, right? But we encourage them to go out and kind of engage with indigenous ways of knowing. Traditional knowledge is really, really important. This was a traditional use for this particular plant. No, it's medicine. You cannot eat this on the trail now. This is meant to cure diabetes, not for you.
There are so many similarities between secondary and kindergarten. Can I eat it? Can I
I go out hiking with my 50-year-old husband, and that's also a question. So some things don't change ever. Food is medicine.
Food brings us all together.
But because we have much richer indigenous knowledge incorporated with the curriculum, it's actually so easy to incorporate food and medicine. And sometimes we can have elders come in. We live really close to a ravine, which has got Still Creek running through it. It's one of the few salmon creeks left in all of Vancouver.
Yeah.
And so we've had, for example, elders come and do native plant walks.
Cool.
But I find that kids often, once they can name a plant, they know it forever. And then they start looking for how it's connected to other plants. And, hey, do you see this tiny little fern growing off of the bark? How is it getting enough water? So they start doing these big ecological systems connection type thinking, but not when they see it in a book and not when they see it on an app. They have to go outside. And so that's actually something that we need as educators is we need the space to be able to take our kids out, and I'm finding that it is becoming more and more difficult to get kids outside for a variety of different reasons.
Yeah.
It takes time, to build a relationship just with friends in general and also with nature. So it's so essential to get kids out there all the time as much as you can.
Like not just once, like repeatedly.
Yeah. We're not just going to, we're not going to do one day a month. This is our forest expedition. We're going to take a bus because, kids up to 12 can ride transit for free. No, we've got to go out in the neighborhoods.
Yeah.
And, what I've seen with my grade 7s, they're going into the forest in groups because it's a rule, we can't go alone.
Yeah.
But after school, they're checking it out. They're exploring the trails a bit more. They're asking questions, and it's exciting because there's a lot of research out there now that shows that it's great for mental health. There's a whole biophilia hypothesis that we evolved in nature.
Yeah.
So when we are out there and we're seeing all this green, it can lower our stress levels.
That totally makes sense.
We also have kids who come from a wide variety of cultural backgrounds where maybe access to outdoor space and kind of free roaming in the forest is just not part of kind of their family culture too. So they're learning a lot of things that are not just new to the kids, but new to the whole family culture.
Interesting that you bring that up, Petra, about some cultures not really embracing outdoors, because I think also we're in a generation where we're hypersensitive about germs, right? Especially after COVID and being sanitized, overly sanitized. So how do you deal with students or even some families who are just like going out in the dirt? That's more cleanup for me when I come home. How do you respond to that?
We give them freedom and flexibility to engage as deeply as they want to in those learning spaces. When I take the kids out camping, for example, some of the kids are right in there, like hammering tent pegs and finding rocks to bash things in, and have others watching their manicures. And it's fine as long as they're there and they're participating in a way that is authentic to them, right? Because we want to encourage kids to stretch their comfort zones, but we also want to create safety and encourage them to do this again and again. And eventually kids find out that dirt washes off. And honestly, the people with the best immune systems in the world are like the ones that actually regularly engage with the microbiome around them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Dirt isn't bad.
Yeah. I will say I'm learning that dirt isn't bad. As a parent with 2 boys, they often come home so dirty, and I'm like, why? But I am learning dirt and bugs are okay.
But you know what else is really good about kids?
Yeah.
If they make the house dirty, they also can learn at a very early age how to clean.
Yeah.
Right? And learning that independence and learning those skills on how to clean up after yourself also can be really good for them as a life skill.
Very true. Very true.
We have a mud kitchen at my school, and so obviously the kindergartens
That makes
love that mud kitchen,
Yeah.
and they'll come in with their hands covered in mud, and I always say, I'm like, wow, I can tell you had fun. Like it's like I say, like that's a sign that you had fun if their like hands are covered in mud.
Okay, for people who don't know what a mud kitchen is, can you explain what that is?
It's a kitchen in the mud. So it's just like different like cookware, like things like that, like like literally like pots or pans or like whisks or whatever, and then it's just like an area of your school grounds that has dirt, and they are allowed to dig, and I can't even do it justice because the creativity that comes from these kids, and it's like literally a muffin tin and some dirt, and they are happy for like 45 minutes.
Mud pie, mud cakes.
Yeah. It's a bakery more than a kitchen, but and it's so incredible, and seeing the role play that comes out of it, and just them like being that engaged, and like that's all you need is just dirt and like some like old cookware, and it's amazing.
Also, straight up studies show that engaging the dirt actually increases your serotonin, right? It's so good for mental health, and high school kids love it too. We give our garden club kids garden gloves. We have lots of them that have been donated, and we were making mud pies too, and that we were prepping soil for planting. So half compost, half soil, and we have to get it moist because you need moist soil to start seeds. You never start with dry soil. And so I said, do you want tools? Do you want gloves? And they were right in these giant Rubbermaid tubs up to their elbows, just mixing soil and dirt and having a blast. Some of them wanted tools, and that's okay because, sensory things, they just don't like the feel. Yeah. But just they were so richly engaged in making mud that wasn't mud pies, although they had talked about it. Well, yeah, I used to do this. I used to love making mud pies. And so those childhood memories are there too.
So speaking of students, let's turn the microphone over to Tessa and Misha, two John Oliver students who are here with me today. And we're sitting at the garden beds where they do a lot of work. These two students are very much involved in sustainability. Tessa and Misha, why don't you introduce yourselves to our listeners?
Hi, my name is Tessa. I'm in grade 10 at John Oliver.
My name is Misha, and I'm in grade 11 at John Oliver.
I know you both are very passionate about climate change and climate action. What got you interested in sustainability? And was there a moment or experience that you can recall that first inspired you?
Well, personally for me, I sort of got introduced to sustainability very early on in my life because of my mom's career as an environmental and human rights lawyer. And so ever since I could walk, I know I was going to different protests and climate strikes, and that conversation around sustainability was always sort of part of my upbringing, which I think was really lucky to get to experience.
For me, there was never really a specific moment that got me interested in sustainability. It was just because growing up and throughout high school mainly is where I learned more that our actions and my actions can impact the environment.
Can you tell me about some of the work or projects that you've been involved in and why it was important to you?
So here at John Oliver, we have the Little Trees Club, which is sort of our eco-environmental club, which I'm currently president of this year. And so far this year, we've been working on a new pollinator garden project in an unused section of our field, which is sort of in collaboration with the biology department at Langara. And that's pretty important to me because I sort of grew up in this neighborhood, and seeing it transform to be sort of a more sustainable space is really interesting for me.
A pollinator project. Describe what is that?
Oh yeah, so basically we are hoping to bring in a lot more perennial pollinator-friendly plants to increase the number of native and non-native pollinators that are visiting our school and just this neighborhood in general.
So with pollinators, does that include bees and ladybugs? Are those the typical pollinators? Are there other species that maybe most people are not familiar with?
Yeah, so with pollinators, people often think of insects. You think of bees and wasps and butterflies, but also larger mammals and birds also count as pollinators. So very interesting to sort of think of pollination as a larger web of different animals.
Misha, how about you? Have you worked on any projects that's really impacted you?
Yeah, so in environmental science, we're doing a whole other thing, but still related. So for Earth Week, which is first week of May, we have a bunch of projects that it kind of showcases people's stories and how everybody affects the environment in good ways and bad. And
the interconnectedness part of it, yeah?
Yeah. So for my group, we did this map of Fraser, and we got people's stories, like workers or anybody who kind of lives around the neighborhood, and we're asking them how much the environment has changed ever since they got here, and we just want to learn more about their experiences and how they connect with the community and our environment.
That's amazing to have that program offered at John Oliver. I'm very happy for you guys. One thing we often hear is that students are not just learning about climate change, but they're also influencing their families and their friends. From your experience, how are students bringing this learning beyond the classroom?
Well, for me, I've been involved in a few sort of extracurricular volunteering opportunities, volunteering positions. So I volunteered with the Environmental Youth Alliance, and it's really cool to see other youth taking that learning about climate change that they've had at school and applying it to, volunteer experiences. And also I see a lot, with climate strikes and protests, I see so much student involvement and students coming together and forming that sort of community.
Yeah, and for me, since I'm sort of new to this whole thing, I just joined environmental science this year, but I can see already that the kids in the class, even in grade 12, they're all very inspired by the stories and information that Mr. Chan has given.
So I actually interviewed some teachers who teach sustainability, and I asked them what their students are most curious about. Now that I have you guys in front of me, I want to hear directly from you as students. What are you most curious about when it comes to sustainability?
I think for me, the most intriguing thing about sustainability is this idea of consumerism, especially because we live in the city and a lot of our products come from like stores where we don't really know where they came from. Like the origin isn't really clear and sometimes labeling is unclear. And so this idea of sustainability being tracing back where these products came from, especially things like clothing or food, and sort of looking at buying more sustainable products or limiting your waste. I think that's something that interests me.
Yeah, I agree with you because with all the fast fashion that's been producing, it's kind of, there's a question. It's like, how is this all going to help us in the future?
Very, very thoughtful questions. I mean, capitalism is kind of at the baseline of that. But it's good that you guys are asking the questions now when you're young, and hopefully it will create a path for you when you graduate high school and maybe move forward with this leading your path. Thank you so much for sharing your insights with me and for working to make VSB a more sustainable community.
Thanks so much for having
Thank
us.
you so much.
Jumping back in the studio with Petra, Riley, and JC, I'd love to ask each of you as a final question, what gives you hope when it comes to the next generation and climate action?
I think it's because I get to work with some kids that have ideas, and when they ask, hey, can we try this? My response as a science teacher is always, well, let's find out. We experiment. But the fact that they want to keep trying different initiatives and trying different things. And in my head, as an adult, I can be, there's so many barriers to making this happen. But the fact that they still want to keep trying. So my hope comes from their hope and their desire to make a difference.
I guess, yeah, my hope, I've been looking through a lot of research on mental health in Canada, and it's quite scary, to be honest. From grade 6 moving up to grade 10, self-esteem is dropping.
Yeah.
We've got confidence dropping. Anxiety is going up. And I think, the answer is getting kids outdoors more. It's as we introduce more and more, connections to screens, we are separating from one another. But I think if we can get the kids outdoors, we can model that during school time. They're going to be more apt to do that with friends after hours. And, there's a lot of research out now on forest bathing. Just being outdoors can help lower your levels of cortisol and stress, right? So my hope is that the kids are going to get outdoors again.
When I have parents sharing things from like, a student that I had taught the year before, they're like, we go, I talk about the Honorable Harvest from like Dr. Robin Wall Kimmerer. And, we literally talk about like saying thank you to plants, like, and being mindful, like take what you need, like don't take the first of what you see. And so like I remember like talking about that with my students, that I think we were like picking mint that we just like found like on the ground. I was like, we're still gonna say thank you to it. Yeah. And then to like the next year, like hear from that parent, be like, oh, like, my child we were at the community garden box, and he was like, are we being honorable with our harvest? Wow. And she was like, where's this coming from? And then like seeing, like he was saying thank you to the plants. And so like those kind of moments to me, I'm just like, oh my gosh, we are in such a like incredible position as educators to be able to like help teach this and help share this, and like so that kind of stuff really gives me hope.
Yeah, I've got kids that go out to post-secondary and they decide to do environmental science and environmental studies. Like I've got one that got a full ride to U of T to do environmental studies, and it's just so neat to see where you kind of give them these learning opportunities and they fully dive in and engage. Like that's when we see kids light up and they're passionate and they're taking these little pieces that we hope they walk away with and they apply them in bigger contexts. That's magic.
Thank you so much, you guys, for being here, and for our high school students for jumping on the podcast. Your insights and incredible work happening in classrooms across the district is really shown through our conversation today. And for me, what stands out is doesn't matter from kindergarten to high school, it is get outside and be in the land that we live on and have that lead our curiosity and inquiry-based learning, because we can relate to the nature, we can relate to the animals, the plants, the insects that we see, and from there we learn through science and social studies and language arts. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Follow us on Instagram at VSB39 to catch every new episode as it's released. Remember to subscribe to VSB After the Bell on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Special thanks to music teacher Mr. Bonnell and Nightingale Elementary students for the original theme song.